In the vast, sun-scorched desert of New Mexico, during the summer of 1947, an event occurred that would forever blur the line between reality and folklore. A local ranch manager, W. Mac Brazel, was riding across the open range when he stumbled upon something extraordinary. Spread across a massive area was a field of strange, glittering debris. The material was unlike anything he had ever encountered in his life. He found thin, foil-like sheets of a metallic substance. When he crumpled a piece in his hand, it sprang back to its original shape, leaving no crease or fold. There were also small, structural beams, like fragments of a frame. These beams were incredibly lightweight yet seemed impossibly strong. Along the inner surfaces of these I-beams were markings, a series of symbols that resembled a form of hieroglyphics. Puzzled and intrigued, Brazel gathered some of the peculiar fragments. He decided this was something the authorities needed to see. He drove into the nearby town of Roswell to report his unusual discovery to Sheriff George Wilcox.D. The sheriff, equally baffled by the strange materials, made a call to the Roswell Army Airfield. This single phone call set in motion a chain of events that would be debated for decades to come. The base commander dispatched his top intelligence officer, Major Jesse Marcel, to investigate the rancher's claim. Marcel, a veteran of World War II, drove out to the debris field with Brazel. What he saw there left him utterly astounded. The field was littered with the same bizarre materials Brazel had described. Marcel spent hours collecting samples of the wreckage. He was convinced that what he was looking at was not man-made. He returned to the base with his vehicle loaded with the mysterious debris. Back at Roswell Army Airfield, the initial assessment was sensational. Colonel William Blanchard, the base commander, authorized a press release. Statement issued by Public Information Officer Walter Haut boldly announced that the military had recovered a flying disc. The news flashed across the country, igniting a firestorm of public excitement and speculation. For a brief moment, it seemed the world was on the verge of a monumental revelation. But then, just as quickly as it began, the story was extinguished. The very next day, the official narrative took a sharp and decisive turn. Major Marcel was ordered to fly the debris to 8th Air Force Headquarters in Fort Worth, Texas. There, Brigadier General Roger Ramey took command of the situation. Ramey called an immediate press conference to correct what he termed a misidentification. He displayed what he claimed was the actual debris from the field. General explained that personnel from the Roswell base had simply made a mistake. Major Marcel was ordered to pose for photographs with the mundane balloon wreckage. In the now famous photo, Marcel can be seen kneeling with the debris, his expression a mixture of confusion and resignation. The official story was sealed. There was no flying disc, only a common weather instrument. The Roswell incident was officially closed, dismissed as a simple error. Behind the public retraction, however, a different story was unfolding. Mac Brazel, the man who started it all, was reportedly taken into military custody. He was held for nearly a week, isolated and intensely questioned. He was finally released and spoke to reporters again. His story had changed dramatically. He downplayed the significance of the debris, claiming he had made a mistake and wished he had never reported it. His demeanor was that of a man who had been deeply intimidated. Other potential witnesses in and around Roswell were allegedly visited by military personnel. They were given stern warnings to forget anything they might have seen or heard. The message was delivered with an unspoken threat. Silence was not a request, but a command. For more than 30 years, that silence held. The Roswell story faded into the realm of myth, a curious but largely forgotten tale. The witnesses, whether through fear or a misplaced sense of duty, kept their secrets locked away. The official weather balloon explanation became the accepted historical record. But the world moved on, unaware of the suppressed testimonies simmering beneath the surface. Then, in the late 1970s, the cold case was unexpectedly reopened. Nuclear physicist and UFO researcher Friedman was investigating the history of UFO sightings. He stumbled upon a reference to the Roswell incident and the intelligence officer involved, Jesse Marcel. Friedman managed to locate Marcel, who was now retired and living in Louisiana. After decades of silence, Jesse Marcel was finally ready to speak the truth. He stated unequivocally that the weather balloon was a cover story. He insisted the material he recovered from the debris field was not of this earth. He described the unearthly properties of the metal, its strength, its lightness, and the strange symbols. Marcel's bombshell testimony acted as a catalyst. It encouraged other witnesses, many now in their old age, to break their silence. A flood of new accounts emerged, each one adding a piece to the complex puzzle. These were not fame seekers, but credible individuals who had been part of the events of 1947. Their independent stories corroborated each other to a remarkable degree. One of the most disturbing accounts came from Glenn Dennis, who had been a young mortician in Roswell. Dennis claimed he received several unusual phone calls from the mortuary officer at the airbase on the day of the incident. The officer inquired about the availability of small, hermetically sealed caskets. He also asked about preservation techniques for bodies that had been exposed to the elements. Later that day, Dennis went to the base hospital to visit a nurse he knew. He saw military ambulances and strange, metallic wreckage being unloaded. He was aggressively escorted from the building by military police and warned to keep quiet. The nurse, deeply traumatized, later met with him in secret. She described, with trembling hands, a preliminary autopsy she had witnessed. She drew diagrams of small, non-human bodies with large heads and big eyes. She told him the smell was horrific. Shortly after their meeting, the nurse was abruptly transferred to England, and Dennis never heard from her again. Another powerful testimony came from Frankie Rowe, the daughter of Roswell firefighter Dan Dwyer. She was just a child in 1947, but she vividly remembered her father coming home from a secondary crash site. He was visibly shaken and described a scene of chaos and military control. He spoke of the strange, durable wreckage and the discovery of little people. Days later, state troopers and military officers came to their home. They threatened her father, telling him that if he or his family ever spoke about what he saw, they would end up in the desert themselves. The threat worked, silencing her family for decades. The physical nature of the debris remained a central theme in many testimonies. People who handled the material described its otherworldly characteristics. Sheriff Wilcox's own granddaughter recalled playing with a piece of the foil-like metal as a child. She remembered how it couldn't be cut with scissors or dented with a hammer. Jesse Marcel Jr., who was a boy when his father brought some of the debris home, never forgot the experience. He described holding the material and seeing the purple, hieroglyphic-like symbols on the I-beams. As the original witnesses began to pass away, some left behind final, irrefutable statements. Walter Haut, the man who wrote the initial flying disc press release, left a sworn affidavit to be opened after his death. In it, He confessed that the press release was not a mistake but the truth. He stated that he had personally seen the craft and the non-human bodies at a hangar on the base. He confirmed that the weather balloon was a cover story concocted at a high-level meeting. Even Colonel Thomas Dubose, the adjutant to General Ramey, confirmed before his death that the weather balloon was a ruse. He stated it was a cover story designed to get the press off our backs. Many testimonies suggested the existence of a second, more important crash site. This was where the main body of the craft and its occupants were allegedly found. This location was subjected to an intense and immediate military lockdown. Soldiers were seen conducting a meticulous grid search of the area, ensuring every last fragment was recovered. The sheer scale of the military operation seemed far greater than what would be required for a simple downed balloon. In the 1990s, facing mounting pressure from the public and researchers, the U.S. Air Force published two comprehensive reports. The first report, the Roswell Report, Fact versus Fiction in the New Mexico Desert, concluded the debris was from Project Mogul. This was a top-secret program using high-altitude balloons to monitor Soviet nuclear testing. The second report, the Roswell Report, Case Closed, addressed the stories of alien bodies. It attributed these accounts to distorted memories of military accidents involving anthropomorphic test dummies. However, for those who had studied the witness testimonies, these reports were far from conclusive. Researchers pointed out that the materials used in Project Mogul did not match the descriptions given by numerous first-hand witnesses. Furthermore, the test dummies cited by the Air Force were not used until the mid-1950s, years after the Roswell incident. Government's explanations seemed to raise more questions than they answered. They failed to address the core claims of witness intimidation and the specific, consistent details of the recovered materials and bodies. The secret truth, as told by the Roswell witnesses, paints a picture of a world-changing event and an unprecedented cover-up. It suggests that humanity made contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence in 1947. It implies that a decision was made at the highest levels of power to conceal this monumental discovery from the public. The testimonies of men and women like Jesse Marcel, Glenn Dennis, Walter Haut, and Frankie Rowe form the foundation of this alternate history. They risked their reputations and their safety to share what they believed to be the truth. Their suppressed words challenged the official record, fuel an enduring mystery. Was it all a misunderstanding? A series of coincidences and misremembered events? Or were these ordinary people telling the extraordinary truth about what fell from the sky in July of 1947? The legacy of their testimony ensures that the Roswell incident will never be fully put to rest. It remains a powerful and persistent question mark in our modern history. The debate between the official explanation and the witness accounts continues to this day. The truth, whatever it may be, is still out there in the desert. The story lives on in the words of those who were there. They saw something that summer. They were told to forget. But they remembered. Their memories became their testimony. Their testimony became their legacy. That legacy is the secret truth of Roswell. It is a story of wonder and fear. It is a story of a crashed disk and a government cover-up. It is a story that refuses to die. The witnesses are mostly gone now, but their voices remain. They echo from the past, telling a tale that is both incredible and compelling. They speak of a moment when the world almost changed forever. They speak of a truth that was deemed too dangerous to reveal. They speak of strange debris under a desert sun. They speak of non-human bodies in a military hangar. They speak of threats in the dead of night. They speak of a secret they were forced to keep. For decades, they held their peace. Then, one by one, They began to speak. They spoke for the historical record. They spoke for their own conscience. They spoke so the world would know. The world heard them. But did the world listen? The answer to that question is still being written. The Roswell incident is more than just a UFO story. It is a story about truth, memory, and power. It is a testament to the courage of those who dare to speak out. It is a reminder that history is not always what it seems. The official story is one of a weather balloon. The secret story is one of a spaceship. Somewhere between the two lies the truth. And it is a truth that continues to fascinate and haunt us. The desert holds its secrets close. But sometimes, the secrets are revealed. Roswell witnesses revealed what they knew. Their words created a legend. That legend continues to grow. It is a legend built on suppressed testimonies. It is a legend that asks a profound question. Are we alone in the universe? The witnesses of Roswell believed they knew the answer. And their answer was no.